You know, we had no terror during my administration. The only terror we had was Nancy Pelosi, who's a crazed lunatic. She's a lunatic. She is a crazed lunatic. What the hell was going on with her husband? Let's not ask. Let's not ask. I'll withdraw that statement. By the way, she's got a wall around her house. Obviously, in that case, it didn't work very well.
What the hell happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband? He guy in his 80s, almost got beaten to death by somebody that fed in to Donald Trump's crazed conspiracy theories. That's what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, who suffered grievous harm, grievous injury, and you know, Charlie Sykes, I mean, this is just, again, it's a glorification of violence. I've gotten quite impatient over the past year with professors wringing their hands going, oh, it's not fascism. Oh, it's not this. Oh, it's not. Really? I mean, it is so hard to separate. You know, you look at the acts of Mussolini, who actually rose to power when, what did they do? They charged government buildings. What did Mussolini talk about? Poisoning the blood of Italy with Jews and with immigrants and with gypsies. I mean, you can go down the list, and here you have the glorification, the mocking, the ridiculing of a man in his 80s being almost beaten to death. And Donald Trump is laughing about it, and we know who he is. But who are the people in the audience who are laughing, who are cheering, who are applauding the brutal assault and almost killing of a man in his 80s? Who are those people?
Yeah, this is the scary part, isn't it? Is that, in fact, as Jim points out, this taps into something. Look, this is sick stuff, but it is consistent. Donald Trump has a fetish for violence. He's encouraging the fetish for violence. One of the themes that runs through some of the things we've been talking about is his real appetite for brutality and for cruelty. You know, during that speech, he once again, you know, talked about his enthusiasm for the immediate death penalty. This is something that he is cultivated. And the fact that it gives millions of Americans a dopamine hit, or even more Americans look at that and go, okay, maybe what America needs is a strong man who is going to punch our enemies in the face. And also what's interesting is kind of the self-contradiction, because Donald Trump says that during his presidency, there were no acts of terror. Well, of course they were. And they were domestic acts of terror. He earlier in the show, you played the clip where he said, you know, the greatest threat to America doesn't come from abroad, it comes from within. And that's true. And he is pouring kerosene on the fire, telling Americans the real enemy is not abroad, the real enemy is your fellow Americans. Look around you. Those are the people that are the vermin. Those are the people that we must attack. Those are the people that we must that we must fight against. And that is dangerous. But it is this cultivation of brutality and this fetish for violence that is really alarming. But it's really central to what he is selling right now.
It is. Jonathan, talk about that, if you will, because he has for some time. I mean, you know, after the hellacious terror attack against Israel and the taking of hostages, he started calling the thugs that beat cops up on January the 6th. They started calling them hostages, but he's used violent language throughout his presidency and throughout his post-presidency. And it continues. And again, as Jim says, as Charlie says, it's only intensifying. It's almost like he's saying, okay, I'm going to run on this. I'm going to run being an open authoritarian who praises Orban, who praises Putin, who calls Putin brilliant, who praises Xi, who praises Hezbollah, saying they're very smart. Again, it's like almost like he's not almost like he is. He's tearing down all boundaries between good and bad, right and wrong, democracy and authoritarianism, and it's intensifying by the day.
And we should take him at his word. This is what he will do in a second term. And this, of course, we can trace this back to the 2016 campaign, the violent rhetoric, where he would urge his supporters to beat up protesters at his events. We know that he considered unleashing the military on protesters in the George Floyd in 2020. There was uprising during the Black Lives Matter movement. We know in terms of what he would do next time around. We have touched upon the immigration policy, but his aides have openly mused about invoking the Insurrection Act on Inauguration Day, were he to win again, to try to quell protests, people who are trying to stand up against him. He is nodded to all those dictators you just mentioned, Kim Jong-un as well. He uses them as role models here. His rhetoric has grown increasingly more erratic, but also increasingly more violent. And when he does, he gets cheers from the crowd.
Right.
And he has stood with the January 6th rioters. He has said, he has appeared with their choir of convicts, and he has said he would pardon them, almost all of them, and deemed them hostages, Mika. It's very clear where a Trump presidency would go were he to win again.
And he's using all these trials and these serious 91 counts against him, serious charges. You know, he's using them to gain more traction with his following.